process field from computational complexity, and what we're interested in is basically the capabilities and fundamental limits of neuromorphic hardware, and related to that, whether we can solve problems that are pretty hard to solve on neuromorphic hardware and maybe alternative computational models. So in this slide, we looked at a problem that in first glance seems pretty easy to solve on neuromorphic hardware, the maximum flow problem, which is a graph optimization problem. But on second glance, it's actually pretty hard because it's inherently hard to parallelize. I know that now because I learned the hard way. Instead, we looked at a alternative model of computation, in which we basically look at a sort of conventional von Neumann processor and a neuromorphic coprocessor and see if we can get theoretical efficiency gains if these two processors work together. And it happens to be the case that if you use such a model, then you can solve this problem with a log space constraint, which is a theoretical, actually a theoretical efficient way to solve it compared to just using a conventional processor alone. So that's pretty nice. So if you're interested in more in the theoretical side of neuromorphic computer computational complexity and algorithm design, I kindly invite you to go to my have a look at my poster.
Hi, I'm Fred from Sandia. At the lab, we have an interest in studying algorithms to run on neural hardware, algorithms in general. And because of that, we also have an interest in the match between neural algorithms and the hardware that it runs on. So any particular neural architecture represents a commitment to a certain set of resources, and any algorithm represents a set of needs for resources. And so naturally, some architectures are going to run a particular algorithm better than others, more efficiently. And so we're interested in exploring that space, the space of neural architectures, and their match to the algorithms. If we were to do parameter variation on a particular existing architecture, it might limit the amount of design space we can cover. So the question we're asking is there a spiking architecture that is sufficiently general, maybe an abstract architecture that's not actually implemented by anyone yet, sufficiently general that we can cover the entire design space? This is thoroughly half-baked. So if you're interested in discussing the idea with me and helping me develop it better, then come by the poster.
I'm a student intern at Sandia, and I'm working on a project that is solving PDEs numerically using a neural algorithm. So it's a non-learning application of neuromorphic architectures. And so what we have done is we've implemented a random walk on a spiking neural algorithm, and this inherently solves the diffusion equation PDE. And my job was to do some random walk applications. So there is a lot of applications in image analysis, and as well as just general computer science graph applications. And on my poster, I have 2 more applications that we're working on right now, both finding electrical capacitance and radiation transport. And so our spiking algorithm has been tested on True North, and we have some results for that as well. So come find me if you want to learn more.
Hi, my name is Nitesh. I'm a PhD student at UMass Amherst. So as the poster title says, is computing the optimal path to artificial intelligence. 2 of the most important motivating factors for the reason why a lot of us are here is because the looming end of Moore's law, and we're all interested in AI. So the question I'm asking is, right now, description dictates design. If we talked about intelligence in terms of weight changes and matrix multiplication and addition, then yes, GPUs and ASICs are what we want to build. And we want to use CMOS because those go really well together. But and it's the other way around. Because we know how to do these things really well, we keep talking about intelligence that way. But right now, as a lot of the speakers talked about earlier, we want to look for new devices, new architectures, new materials. So should the description change? If the description is going to change, then what should the description look like? What are the properties of computational descriptions that new descriptions should have? some of the questions we'll answer in the poster. We'll also introduce something called thermodynamic descriptions. These are, as there's a revolution in neuroscience, there's also a revolution in non-equilibrium thermodynamics, and a lot of people are now interested in building non-equilibrium thermodynamic models of intelligence. So we'll talk about one such description of intelligence that might actually fit really well if we want to build new kinds of systems. With as I said, since description dictates design, these new kind of descriptions might actually lead to new kinds of design techniques. It might allow us to use our new materials, memristors, new architectures. We don't necessarily have to do cross-bar architectures. Can we do other kind of architectures that suit the new description better? So those are the kind of questions I would like to answer. So if you want to talk about it some more, please come by my poster. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mingyi Rao. I'm also a PhD student from UMass Amherst. My advisor is Professor Joshua Yang. My title is Capacitive Neural Network with Neuron Transistors. In the last few years, we have seen some interesting works using resistive devices to implement the spiking neurons. In our work, we proposed an alternative solution, which is using the capacitive devices to emulate some neuron behaviors, including the integration fire and the spatial summation. In this way, we significantly reduces the power consumption, static power consumption caused by current flowing through the resistors, and we also make the signal propagation much easier by integrate the capacitive devices with the transistors. We also build a small neural network with capacitive synapses and neurons and demonstrate hidden learning. Please stop by my poster if you are interested in this work, and we can talk more. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Wenhao Song from UMass Amherst as well. We all know that reinforcement learning is a promising way to build machines that can acquire knowledge and take actions without human input or supervision. However, usually those systems are softwares implemented on CMOS digital systems, which will be constrained by the limit of Moore's law of scaling and the von Neumann architecture. So here, we experimentally demonstrate an reinforcement learning instance based on the 3-layer 1T1R network on our hybrid analog digital platform. We build a model-free DeepQ network and use it to solve two classic control problem, cart pour and the mountain car. We found that significant boost in speed and energy efficiency could be obtained compared to traditional digital systems. If you are interested in our performance, please stop by our poster. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Brown, and I'm from the University of Tennessee. Our group here, we propose a hardware implementation of an inherently stochastic neuron, and then we did some work to prove that it was in fact behaving stochastically, and then we implemented it within a higher network level to see what the behavior of its performance would be. And so, I mean, if you're interested in this, and the result on the end is a little bit harder to explain. It's basically just network performance for the specific application that we tested, and it does in fact. This implementing a network with stochastic neurons does help with the network's ability to generalize information. That was the biggest result that we found. So if you're interested more in that, please come, we can chat about it. Thank you.
Okay, so this work is, in this work we are using STIC, which is a new framework for computation, for general purpose computation using neuron. And this framework allows to basically build a Turing-complete programs using neurons, and you can map any code into neurons systematically. And in this poster, Vinny here and Manny, who are, they work at US Army Labs, and Vinny now has a new position in Santa Barbara. We inquired into how to define memory and how you can compute with memory locally. because when you get rid of, when you go for a neuromorphic implementation, the nice thing about it is that you don't have to, you can have memory where you want, and this is a different way of using memory that can be used for sorting or computation, so it's parallel, or it's the way you can read out, basically, and that buys you computation, so thank you.
You see a busy chart, but don't be scared. And currently, one of the most difficult challenges in the speech recognition is to recognize things in the noisy environment, especially so many people talking, and the machine will become an idiot. So we last year working with Virginia Tech and IBM speech team, and we use BED-inspired robotic dynamic periphery to process the speech data, and especially in the babbling noise environment. And we are able to see the improvement. And people ask us, what's the mechanism behind, and we try to figure out. The bats or the robot will not tell us. So what we do is we try to rotate the bat ears in a different directions, and we see the certain improvement as well. And we are able to get the training algorithms to match with so-called cochlear scaled entropy, and not only from the classifier itself, but also from the cochlear scaled entropy, we can predict a certain improvement. And if you're interested, come to my poster. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrew Sornborger at Los Alamos. Spencer couldn't be here today, so I'll talk a little bit about this. This is in this poster, we present an implementation of a way to do binary matrix multiplication on the True North system. And this was basically an exploration we were interested in, because using fewer events can potentially allow you to use less power on one of these chips. We were interested in understanding, how actually implementing that would scale, how the resources would scale on the chip. This here is a 4-bit multiplier, and if you're interested in kind of the details of how that works, please come and take a look at the poster.
Hi, my name is Yijing Watkins from Los Alamos National Laboratory. So the current Loihi model, so there are many ways to solve for sparse coding. The current Loihi architecture also use locally competitive algorithms, short for LCA, as their sparse solver, but it doesn't directly support online unsupervised dictionary learning. So we are interested in solving this problem because we also use LCA. In our poster, we demonstrate our implement spiking LC model is able to support online unsupervised dictionary learning in the manner of respect all major constraints exposed by the current Loihi model. So on the slides, it shows our primary result for the unsupervised dictionary learning and the sparse solving procedures result. So on the left side is the dictionary learning and converging based on the CIFAR-10 thumbnail images. In one EPUB on the left side is by using the converged dictionary, the frame-by-frame sparse solving procedures. So if you want to find out more about the result and then what type of constraints and then solution we're having, so please stop on my poster section. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jeff Shainline from NIST Boulder. I'll be giving a talk this afternoon about superconducting optoelectronic networks for neuromorphic computing, but this poster is about a little bit of a different flavor, what I call, quantum neural hybrid systems. So maybe some of you are familiar with this emerging field of quantum machine learning. That's not what I'm talking about here. The idea instead is really to have a classical system, a quantum system, and a neural system, and leverage the strengths of each of those so that you can do a kind of computation that you might not have been able to do otherwise. The basic idea comes from the fact, especially the quantum system and the neural system have very complementary information processing attributes. For example, quantum systems, no matter how you measure them, it's inherently stochastic, whereas neural systems are excellent at performing Bayesian inference on samples drawn from a probability distribution. So we conjecture that if you train a neural system to learn the behavior of a quantum system, over time it will be able to generalize what it's learned to anticipate how the quantum system will behave in the presence of an unforeseen Hamiltonian. And the idea here is really that the neural system is what's powerful here, and if you can give it some quantum resources so that it can learn quantum mechanics, it may be able to do things like chemical synthesis design or other things like that. So I have a poster about this. Come check it out if you're interested. Thanks.
I'm Shrestha from Syracuse University. Over there, amongst other things, we are trying to approximate backpropagation, mainly for the goal of making it more biological plausible as well as neuromorphic implementation friendly. So for that, we want something that neural models and synapse models that are very simplistic. We want communication and computation all based on spikes. And we also want some learning rule that is local to the synapses. So if, okay. So for that purpose, we try to solve some biological implausibility problems with backpropagation. So for example, separating the forward and backward passes and replace them with spiking circuits, approximate the nonlinearity of the forward pass and linearity of the backward pass. Similarly, calculate the derivatives of the loss using just spiking circuits, solve the weight symmetry problem, and also at the end, utilize the target propagation algorithm to derive a STTP rule that looks very similar to what the derivation of STTP rule by Bengios. So yeah, so if you need more information, come talk to me at the poster. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I'm Jesse Hostetler from SRI International in Princeton. I'm sorry I have no eye candy for you. Our work is about using generative memory for lifelong reinforcement learning. So this is neural-inspired, not so much on the hardware side, but maybe on the software side, where we're interested in using the mechanisms of long and short-term memory and memory replay that happen in the mammalian brain, and taking some ideas from that and using it to do computational reinforcement learning, using a memory mechanism to allow the agent to learn continually over time, to avoid forgetting what it's already learned, and to transfer knowledge from the past experiences to the future. So that's the subject of my poster, and I'll also just mention that I and my colleagues at SRI also have ongoing work in approximate computing using low bit precision mechanisms and also neural modulation to save power on deployed applications of neural networks. So if you're interested in those subjects, please come talk to me as well. Thanks.
That brings it to the end of the lightning talks. I know I'm in between you and lunch, but we have two more quick things we want to go over. The first will be a conference publicity slide from Joe Hayes, and then I have a few coordination items to go over before we head out for lunch.
Okay, so I know you're waiting for lunch, but I wanted to give a plug for an event that we're holding this summer in August. It's Robust Artificial Intelligence for Neurorobotics workshop that we're hosting. Can you switch to the second slide? This is being hosted by the University of Edinburgh in Scotland on August 26th through the 28th. This, I'm hoping, is of interest to a large percentage of this community. We're focusing on the intersection of the work that we're doing here with neuromorphic computing and robotics, specifically neurorobotics. And it's a single track four-topic workshop. And it's being sponsored by the Center for Robotics at the University of Edinburgh and the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory, with funding coming from ONAR Global UK office. And we hope to see you in Scotland in August. The important dates are down here in the bottom left-hand corner if you want to submit your work. And also, it'd be good to take down the web address up there so you can stay abreast of the workshop dates. Thanks.
And we have pamphlets of the conference in the registration desk for those who are interested to get more details. So, and please come and see us.